book is largely concerned with hobbits. Pages, a reader may discover much of their character. The story was derived from the earlier chapters of the Red Book, composed by Bilbo himself. Since since they told of his journey into the East and his return, more numerous formerly than they are today. For a mill or a hand loom. They are inclined to be fat and do not hurry unnecessarily. They are nonetheless nimble and deft in their movements. They possess from the first of the art of disappearing swiftly and silently. First folk of whom they do not wish to meet come blundering by. They have developed until to men it may seem magical, but hobbits have never in fact studied magic of any kind. For they are a little people, smaller than dwarves, less stout and stocky. That is, even when they are not actually much shorter. Their height is variable, ranging between 2 and 4 feet of our measure. They roar, some they are irritable and delighted in parties and presents. It is plain, indeed, that in spite of later estrangement, hobbits are relatives of ours, far nearer to us than the elves. But these people seemed of very little importance, but Frodo, his heir, they suddenly became, by no wish of their own, both important and renowned. In those days, the third age of Middle Earth are now long past, but the fourth original home, the hobbits in Bilbo's time preserved no knowledge, a love of learning other than genealogical lore. But nevertheless, from these legends, peculiar words and customs, the earliest tales seem to glimpse a time when there dwelt in the upper vales of Anduin. They later undertook the hard and perilous crossing of the mountains in Eridor is no longer certain. Own accounts speak of multiplying of men in the land. So before the crossing of the mountains, the hobbits had already become divided into three somewhat different breeds: Harfoots, Stores, and Followhides, beardless and bootless. Their spores were broader, heavier in build. Feet and hands were larger, and they preferred flat lands and riversides. The Followhides were fairer of skin and also hair, and taller and slimmer than the others. They were lovers of trees and woodlands. Hobbits had much to do with dwarves in ancient times, and long lived in the foothills of the mountains. They moved westward early and roamed over Eredor as far as the Weathertop, while the others were still in the Wilderlands. They were the most normal and representative variety of hobbit, and far the most numerous. The stores lingered along by the banks of the great river Odwin, and followed the course of the Loudwater southwards. And the Fallowhides, the least numerous, were a northerly branch. They were more friendly with elves than the other hobbits were. Of the old, they preferred hunting to tilling. They fell and came down the riven Hor- Horwell. In Eredor, they soon mingled with the other kinds that had preceded them. But more adventurous, they were often found as leaders and chieftains among the clans of Harrowfoots or Stores. At those times, the strongest fellow Hydus strain could for the kingdom were to spare for the incomers. The earlier settlements had long disappeared and been forgotten in Bilbo's time. Though reduced in size, was at Bree and in Chetwood, that lay around about some 40 miles east of the Shire. It was in these early days, doubtless, that the hobbits learned their letters and began to write after the manner of Dunding, who in their turn long before learned the arts of the elves. In those days also they forgot whatever languages they had used before, and spoke ever at the common speech. The Westron was named that was current through all the lands of the kings, from Arnor to Gondor, and about all the coasts of the seas, from the Belafs to Lune. Word they kept few words for their own, as well as their own names of months, of days, and great store of personal names out of the past. About this time, legend among the hobbits first becomes history with the reckoning of the years. It was in the 1601st year of the Third Age that the Fallohide brothers, Marco and Blanco, set out from Brie, and having obtained permission from the High King of Fornost, they Bardoon, and with a great fellow following of hobbits, they passed over the bridge of Stone Bros in the days of the power of the North Kingdom, and they took all the land beyond to dwell in. Between the river and the far downs, all that was demanded of them was that they should keep the great bridge in repair and all other bridges and roads, speakers, and acknowledge his lordship. The reckoning year of crossing of the Brandywine, as the hobbits turned the name, became 1 year of the Shire, and all later dates were reckoning from it. Once the western hobbits fell in love with the new land, and they remained there. As soon passed once more out of history of men. The king they were in the name of his subjects, and they were in fact ruled by their own chieftains and meddled not at all with the events in the world outside, till Fort Knoss with the Witch Lord.